Hello everyone, Britton here, and I am back with a comic book review. I'm not doing a book review this time. And the book I'm going to be covering, or, well, in this case, the comic series I'm going to be covering, is Sweet Tooth. Since the second season of the show is coming out, which I haven't seen yet, I thought it would be a good idea to cover Sweet Tooth, which is one of my favorite comic book series of all time. Luckily, this isn't very long. It's not like Robert Kirkman's stuff, which can go on into the hundreds. This is only 40 issues long. You can get the compendium if you want to, or if you want to get the 6 trades, that's fine as well. There's also some deluxe editions you can get. My local comic shop sells them. But yeah, Sweet Tooth is a fantastic series. I'm a big fan of Jeff Lemire. I love his versatility with genre. I love how he can create such rich and human characters in his stories, when he's at his best anyway. But again, like I said, I love his versatility. He's done horror, he's done science fiction, he's done superhero. Black Hammer as well is another one of my favorite series from Jeff Lemire. He's done like more grounded, character-driven stuff. And my favorite of his stuff is probably the more grounded, character-driven stuff. And this book is probably the one he is most well known for. It's the one he got his breakout in the States, aside from Essex County, which I haven't read yet. But I love Sweet Tooth. This is also a very grounded character drama, and I love it. I think it's a fantastic series. And this is actually the first comic I read from him, so it wasn't a hard sell. I'm a big fan of the post-apocalyptic genre, and this comic kind of is hard to describe because at once it's a gritty post-apocalyptic drama. It's almost like a children's book in some areas. Like let me find it real quick. There's some bits in this that almost look like they're from children's books. Let me see. Here it is. Like this right here, almost like something out of a kid's book. It's also a coming-of-age story for our main character here. That's the main character. His name's Gus. He is also the titular Sweet Tooth because he really loves chocolate. And it's also just a really deeply felt character drama. I mean, Jeff Lemire, when he's on form, when he's at his best, he is remarkably talented at character drama. And I'm a whore for that stuff. So you better believe I ate this up immediately. And what's really interesting about this book is how it manages to have a balance between the tone of childlike and almost whimsical with this really gritty, almost Mad Max era type of style, and it's even described as Mad Max with antlers. So there you go. And they don't hold back from some of the really disturbing stuff. There is some really messed up stuff in this series, and you will not. So this isn't just this isn't a cozy book, but there's also a lot of heart and a lot of great character drama in this, and that's really what I think makes this book work. It's not just the utter strangeness of the atmosphere. It's a very surreal book at times. I really love how Lemire plays with the comic book form in some of the in some of the panels. He uses watercolor in one of the arcs. There are a couple of other artists who come in, like Matt Kent comes in on an arc. Emily, he did Plutona with her. I can't think of her name. Let me see if it's expressed here. Emmy Lennox, that's it. And Nate Powell also does some art in this. But Jeff Lemire mostly does the art. And his style is very unconventional, which, but generally I probably wouldn't be a big fan of it. But for a story as strange and unique as this book is, as this series is, I mean, it works perfectly. I mean, his style is very unusual. I mean, if you look at that, there's Jeopard right there. That's Johnny. He's a great character as well. He's he has a very unusual style, very unusual anatomy. All of his characters are just really, really strange looking, but it works for the series that this is in, and I really like it. I think it's a very interesting style. But like I said, what really makes this series work is the characters and the character drama that really comes from the interactions between these characters. I mean, all the way through, it's basically like a chase story, but it's a very, very character-driven story. A lot of these characters are damaged, and it's very much about finding hope in probably the bleakest times. You know, it's almost like it's like a more whimsical version of The Road, if you will. I mean, maybe not quite as intense as The Road is, but it certainly has that theme of The Road where it's a story about the triumph of the human spirit, and that's really what makes this book work, in my opinion. Gus is great. He's the main character. There he is right there. He's a kid. He's a very normal kid, but he's just he has a deer antler. In this world, there was a sickness that happened. They call it the sick. And it is where a bunch of people died, and there were people who gave birth to animal-people hybrids, and Gus is one of them. And it's a very interesting idea for the post-apocalypse. And Jeff Lemire's strange imagination comes to life in this book. But yeah. So, the characters are really what make this book work. My favorite character in the story is probably Jeopard, who's this just big buff guy who, he isn't always nice. He is a bit on the gruff side, but he does prove that he has a heart of gold, if you will. There he is right there. I think that's his introduction page. There he is. Yes, he looks very fearsome. But once you find out his backstory, you find that there's a lot of demons that he's dealing with, and he's attempting to atone for failures of his past and the demons of his past. And he's a great character. He's probably my favorite in this. I also really like his design. He was actually apparently inspired by an older version of the Punisher, which is funny because he looks almost exactly like Garth Ennis's version of the Punisher, which I actually think that's where I think Lemire got the idea for Jeopard's design. I mean, I love the design of this. I really like his design, basically. And but no, he's a great character. There's also a lot of other really fun characters. There's this kid who's a beaver. He's really fun. There's this one called Bobby. He's great. No, I think Bobby is the beaver. Yes, Bobby is the beaver. That's a tongue twister. But, yeah, Bobby, he's great. He's a great character. I love the one who's a pig. She's just wonderful. And Jeff Lemire is one of those writers. He can write kids so well. I mean, it's just... He can write kids in a way that feels believable. He captures that childlike awe and whimsical view of the world, but they also become more accustomed to the more disturbing aspects of it. There's also the bad guys are freaking nasty, especially one called Abbott, who is just the biggest bastard. I mean, he is just a complete monster, but he's also a great character. And it's just a great series, and I love it. I love how it plays with the comic book medium. I love the paneling in this. It's so good, and Jeff Lemire's writing style is just, oh my god, it's wonderful. Now, despite all the praise I give this series, there is some issues I have with it, and it's with this one arc that I think. Now, it's not a bad arc. It's fine. It's just my problem with it is, let's just put it this way. This arc sort of gives a possible explanation on where the virus might have come from. And when it comes to me, when you try to explain this, it does kind of fall flat a little bit, because you kind of don't want to know. It's kind of like with The Road. They don't tell you what happened. It matters what the people... Now, to be fair, it is set up through the story, and it's not like this comes out of nowhere, but I personally was kind of disappointed with it. But that does not at all kill the series. I mean, the ending and the climax and the ending of the series is one of the best that I have ever read in a comic. I mean, it's such a moving, satisfying ending. There was a little sequel series they made called Sweet Tooth: The Return. I haven't read it yet, and I'm very hesitant to read it because I know Jeff Lemire. I love Jeff Lemire, and I'm sure he can do a good job with it. But I don't know. This story wrapped up perfectly as it was. But hey, maybe one day I'll pick it up and read it. But just not at the moment right now. I'm not really feeling the itch to read it. But aside from that, but back to the ending. The ending is one of the best of all time. Like, it's up there with, like, Preacher and Invincible and just, oh man, what's another series that ended well? I can't think of one at the moment, but this one comes up to just a pure, just satisfied, I loved it. Like, this is up there with, like, Preacher and Invincible. I love the ending of Sweet Tooth. It's such a beautiful thing. It's just, it's so good. I can't say it enough. Now, I bet you're wondering what I think of the TV show that has come out over the last couple of years. And, I shall be honest with you, I haven't seen it, and not because I don't want to. It's kind of, I love Sweet Tooth. It's one of my favorite comics of all time. But it's, I just haven't gotten around to seeing it, and also I'm like, I heard they do make some changes, which isn't a bad thing entirely, and I heard they're very faithful to the feel of the book. I just haven't watched it yet because, I don't know, it's just, I would probably be that annoying fan who would just be like, oh yeah, they did this kind of wrong, and, oh yeah, alright. But, it's genuinely... but, maybe someday I'll check it out. But I am not in any hurry to check it out right now. I know Jim Mickle is the guy who created it. He's very well known for some movies like, my buddy Kyle's a big fan of Cold in July, which is an adaptation from Joe R. Lansdale, who's also a great writer, by the way. But, yeah, Sweet Tooth. There's not really much I could say aside from me just gushing and being like, oh, it's so good. You should go read it. But, it's just... It's just so good. It's such an easy read. Like, there's not a lot of commitment. Like, you could knock this out maybe in, like, a couple days. Like, it's not that difficult to read. Like, there are some weird paneling choices, but I kind of like them. I think they're really fun. But, yeah, really, get Sweet Tooth. This is one of those series I would harass people to go read because it really is that good. Yeah, I could cry. But seriously, this series is amazing. I think it's just, it's so good. It's so good. There's not really much else for me to say aside from this is a really good series, and you guys should go check it out as soon as possible. I would recommend getting the compendium or the deluxe editions. Those probably give you the most of the story. Though you could also get the trades as well. I'm not judging here. I had the trades before. I blew my money on this. So, I don't regret buying this, by the way. This is but it's a thick boy, as you can tell. But it's only 40 issues, not that long. There's not really much else for me to say. This is my review for Sweet Tooth. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to check me out on Twitter, you want to see me go off on some tangents like I do here, go check out my Twitter. Go check out my Goodreads and Letterboxd where I do written reviews, which probably sound more coherent than the one you just saw right now. And my Discord. Please join my Discord. Anyway. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And happy Cinco de Mayo to people who are celebrating it today. I know it's Cinco de Mayo today where I'm at. So, yeah, happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys later.